Welcome, theater addicts. My name is Raya Jean, and I'm outside the Cultch about to see Precious Little, a play written by Madeline George and produced by Star Theatre for the 2018 Vancouver Fringe Festival. This is a play featuring 3 actors who play a total of 10 characters that span different generations, and it is about a 42-year-old lesbian who finds herself pregnant with an unsupportive partner. And apparently it's also a play about communication and the connections that we make when communication fails us. The Georgia Straight has called this a sneaky play. This is my last review for the Vancouver Theatre Addicts team. So let's go inside and see what they mean by sneaky. Welcome back, theater addicts. This is Raya Jean, and I am reviewing Precious Little, which is a play by an American playwright, Madeline George, and put on by a local company, Star Theatre. This is a production that features 3 very talented women actors playing a total of about 10 characters. It's a play that centers around a woman protagonist. Her name is Brody. She is a linguist. She's an academic, and she's also pregnant. She is a woman in her 40s who has become pregnant. She was working with a donor, and she also has a young lover who is a grad student who she also supervises. So the stakes are quite high. There's definitely a lot going on here. There are some tough questions that don't necessarily get answers in the end. This is not a play that answers all of our questions, satisfies all of our demands. I believe that this is a play and a production that seeks to start a dialogue. Speaking of dialogue, this is definitely a play about language and about the ways we use language. And it's a play about communication and intergenerational communication. So as I mentioned, there is a younger lover character, and there's also an older woman character who plays, among other things, she plays an ape, and I'll touch on that a little bit later. This is a play that takes place in a very clinical setting, so there's a lot of white. As I mentioned, Brody is an academic. She's doing this work with one of the last survivors speakers of a dying language, a language that's endangered. And so as an audience, we're going into these sort of academic spaces, and we're also going into these clinical spaces when we are with Brody, and she is at the genetic counselors getting these tests done. Because, of course, when you are a woman over a certain age, there is more of a risk of birth defects. I thought that but at the same time, it's a wild space. Okay, so we're at the zoo where we meet the gorilla, and for the entire duration of the play, there's this set that is black, but it's also white and green, and the actors are picking up and moving different pieces of furniture that serve different functions, whether or not it's at the zoo or it's at the counselor's office. So I thought that was quite effective at setting the scene and setting up the dynamics and asking these tough questions about age and about ageism and about different generations and how they communicate. So there's definitely a lot of conflict in this story, especially between Brody and the younger lover. I read something somewhere about the grad student being unhelpful or uncaring, but I think what we're really getting at here is different life stages and different goals, and even different ways of speaking about certain issues that indicate that these two people are not on the same page. So, I mean, and that's definitely something that's going on. The woman actor who plays the young grad student, she is quite captivating, quite dynamic, got a lot of energy, and she is often bouncing around from character to character, but I didn't get confused. I thought it was quite well done, and I was exhausted just watching her. So that's great. There's also another woman, one of the older women who plays the gorilla character. I've never seen anybody play a gorilla before, but I was completely convinced from seeing her back, seeing the way she sat and the way she moved and the way she held her face. I was completely convinced that this was a gorilla, and it was tense. There was a lot of tension. There were some scenes when they're at the zoo and the grad student is trying to convince Brody to knock on the glass to get her attention, and I was scared for them. I was scared that this gorilla was going to attack them. Of course, that is not at all what happened. So, you know, as I mentioned before, this is a play that asks more questions than it answers, and it really teaches us, you know, even if we think we have all the answers, and even if we think that we're using our words and our language, miscommunications can occur and will occur, sometimes intentionally, and we are always going to be faced with decisions, you know, two different paths, and neither of them seem easy. So that is a very universal truth. And so when I think about Brody as a character, first of all, I didn't find her very likable. I found her quite unlikable. But she does evolve. She does evolve. So I think that this is a very cool, very strange play. And it left me thinking about it for a while, and it left me thinking about a lot of these themes. So, as I mentioned before, this is my last review for the Vancouver Theatratics for the 2018 Fringe. Please subscribe to the channel. Please comment on the videos. If you were at this performance of Precious Little and you have something to add, please let us know. If you disagree with something that I'm saying, let me know, please. You know, we would love it. Keep an eye out for the Theatratics during the rest of the year. We have covered Fringe, but we're going to be covering a lot more theater. So, good night, and I'll see you on the other side.